Okay, so we're diving into something I bet a lot of you listening have thought about, retirement savings,
Yeah.
and specifically that whole Roth versus traditional decision.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like every time you turn around, there's a new article,
Right.
a new guru telling you what to do.
Absolutely.
But we're going to try to go a little bit deeper
Yeah.
than that pay now or pay later thing everyone always talks about.
Sure.
And look at some recent research and some insights
Mm-hmm.
from some real experts.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that article we sent you, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was comparing the whole system to, like, choosing between
Yeah.
a leaky life raft or, like, a faulty fire extinguisher or something.
It's a tough choice.
It really is.
It is.
Right.
And there's all this talk,
Yeah.
about Roth accounts,
Yeah.
pushing everybody that way.
Right.
This idea that it's never taxed versus forever taxed.
Right.
Like Ed Slott always says.
Yeah.
You just pay the taxes up front and then later on,
Your goal
That's
is good.
tax-free withdrawals.
Yeah. I mean, look around. Trillions of dollars are in those accounts.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a reason why everybody's doing it.
There is.
Right. But the thing that I found really interesting about this article we're looking at
Mm-hmm.
is that it kind of pushes back against that conventional wisdom.
It does.
So you have these professors from Providence College.
Right.
They did all this research, published it in a really well-respected journal.
The Journal of Wealth Management.
Yeah, exactly. And their conclusion is a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
They actually say that in a lot of cases, traditional accounts might be a better deal if you want to pay less in taxes overall.
Interesting.
It really is, right?
Yeah. When you first hear that, you think,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what?
How could that be?
Yeah.
But their argument basically boils down to this idea that most people, when they retire,
Yeah.
will be in a lower tax bracket
Mm-hmm.
than when they were working. So if that's the case, that upfront tax break you get with the traditional account
Yeah.
could save you more money in the long run.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understand this. With
Yeah.
the traditional account,
Mm-hmm.
you get a deduction now, but then you pay taxes on the money later when you take it out.
Exactly.
And with Roth, it's the opposite.
Flip it.
You pay the taxes now, but then later you don't have to pay any taxes when you withdraw.
Exactly.
And everyone always says, well, you're going to be in a higher tax bracket later.
Right.
So Roth is the way to go.
It's safer, right?
Yeah. But these researchers are saying that might not be true.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
For most people.
For a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just about what bracket you're in now or later.
Right.
It's about how much you pay in taxes
Over your entire life?
over your whole life. Exactly.
Interesting.
So are they saying that this conventional wisdom is leading people in the wrong direction?
Well, it's not quite as simple as saying Roth is always the wrong choice.
Right.
There are some cases where it makes sense.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that.
We'll get into that, yeah.
But yeah, for a lot of people, a traditional account could end up
Yeah.
saving them a lot more money.
In taxes
Yeah.
over their lifetime.
Exactly.
So can you give me like a specific example of how this might actually work?
Sure. So imagine someone,
Yeah.
they're in the 24% tax bracket right now,
Okay.
saving for retirement,
Mm-hmm.
trying to decide Roth or traditional.
Yeah.
This research suggests it's very likely
Hmm.
that they won't actually be in that same tax bracket
Okay.
when they retire.
Interesting.
They'll probably have less income,
Yeah.
so they'll be in a lower bracket.
Okay. So that makes sense. But even if they're in a lower bracket,
Yeah,
they're still going to have to pay some taxes on that money when they take it outright
right.
with a traditional account.
That's where things get really interesting
Okay.
because you also have to think about things like the standard deduction and Social Security benefits,
Okay.
which can really reduce the amount of your income
Yeah.
that's actually taxable when you retire.
Okay.
And these researchers actually estimated that for someone with $1 million
Wow.
or less saved up for retirement,
Mhm.
they might not have to pay any taxes at all.
$1 million.
$1 million and no taxes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just lower taxes.
Right.
It's potentially no tax
Exactly.
for a lot of people.
For a lot of people.
So all of a sudden, those traditional accounts
yeah.
looking pretty good.
They are.
But there's more, right?
There is more.
You were telling me about this other interesting thing that the article talks about, this kind of built-in progressivity.
Mm-hmm. With traditional accounts.
So explain that.
So you only pay taxes on the money you actually take out
Okay.
and on the gains that you make.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a ton of money saved,
Yeah.
you probably won't have to pay a lot in taxes.
Yeah.
And you still get that tax break up front.
Interesting. So it's kind of like the system is helping out.
In a way.
The people who don't have as much money saved.
Right. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, so this is really making me rethink
Yeah.
my whole Roth-centric view of the world.
I know.
But before I make any rash decisions, I really want to understand when Roth does make sense.
Okay. Yeah, we should definitely talk about that.
Also
because there are times when Roth really is the better option.
Okay, great. Well, let's get into that then. All right, so we're back, and my mind is officially blown by this whole idea that traditional accounts could actually be the tax heroes for so many of us who aren't planning to retire on a yacht or anything.
Right.
But we're not kicking Roth to the curb just yet.
No.
You mentioned before that there are some specific scenarios where Roth really shines.
Yeah.
So give me the rundown. When does it actually make sense to pay those taxes up front?
Okay, so remember how we talked about those super high investment returns?
Yeah.
Well, if your money is growing like crazy, a Roth starts to look really good.
Okay.
Because with a traditional account, you'd have to pay taxes on all those gains later.
Right, like you're paying taxes on the whole forest.
Exactly.
Not just the little seed you planted.
Yeah.
So with Roth, you're basically locking in today's tax rate.
You are.
No matter how much your investments grow.
Right.
So I guess that makes sense if you're like a young Warren Buffett expecting those huge returns.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, I mean, I'm not holding my breath for that.
No.
Are there any other situations where Roth might make more sense?
Well, there's this whole predicting the future thing. Remember we talked about how tax rates could go up in the future?
Right.
Well, if that happens, people with traditional accounts could end up paying a lot more in taxes than they expected.
Nobody wants to get hit with a giant tax bill when they're trying to relax in retirement.
Exactly.
So I can see why some people would want to just pay those taxes now and know that they're done with it.
It's about peace of mind.
Yeah.
Some people are comfortable with that uncertainty.
Yeah.
But others, they just want to know
what they're going to owe.
Exactly.
Yeah, but trying to guess what's going to happen with tax rates.
I know.
Like decades from now.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's like picking winning lottery numbers.
Yeah, you never know.
There are so many things that could change.
So many factors.
But I guess that uncertainty alone makes Roth seem like a safer bet.
For some people, yeah.
Like at least, that part of the equation. Okay, I see the logic there, but what about those income limits?
Yeah.
For Roth IRAs?
Yeah.
Doesn't that make things tricky for people who make a lot of money?
That's a great point, and that is something the article talks about.
Okay.
The IRS does have those income limits for contributing directly to a Roth IRA.
So if you're making too much money, you're just out of luck.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
There's this thing called a backdoor Roth IRA.
A backdoor Roth?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's totally legal.
Okay, good.
But it's a little bit more complicated.
What?
So basically, if your income is too high to contribute to a Roth IRA directly, you can put the money into a traditional IRA first.
Okay.
Even though you might not get the tax deduction.
Yeah.
And then you immediately convert it.
To a Roth?
To a Roth IRA.
So it's like sneaking in through the back door.
It is.
Let's like it.
But there's one thing you have to be careful about.
Okay.
If you already have money in a traditional IRA, things can get a little messy with the taxes.
Oh, so?
There are these rules about how much of the conversion is taxable. Based on how much you already have in the traditional IRA.
Oh, okay. This is starting to sound complicated.
Yeah, it can be.
So it's probably a good idea to talk to an expert.
Yeah, definitely.
Before you try any backdoor Roth maneuvers.
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know. But I'm still kind of stuck on this idea.
Yeah.
That traditional accounts could actually save people more money in the long run.
I know. It is surprising.
It just feels so counterintuitive.
It does.
Can you just walk me through the logic one more time?
Sure. So for most people, their income is highest when they're working.
Makes sense.
And then when they retire,
they're not making as much.
Right.
Okay.
So they'll be in a lower tax bracket.
When they start taking money out of their retirement accounts.
Exactly.
So they'll end up paying taxes on that money at a lower rate.
Than they would have if they'd put it in a Roth in the first place.
Exactly.
Got it. But even if you're in a lower bracket in retirement, don't you still owe some taxes?
Well, not necessarily.
With a traditional account?
Remember the standard deduction.
Right.
And Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
Can really lower your taxable income.
Okay.
And for some people.
With less than $1 million saved?
Yeah.
They might not owe any taxes at all.
$1 million and no taxes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's still blowing my mind.
I know.
So even if you've saved up a good amount of money,
yeah,
you might not be in a high enough tax bracket
to
make Roth the better option.
That's what the research is saying.
Okay, this is really making me think about my whole retirement plan.
I know. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I think we all need a minute to digest all of this.
Let's take a break. Right. And when we come back, we'll wrap things up and give you some final thoughts.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so we made it through that whole Roth versus traditional deep dive.
We did.
And honestly, my head is still spinning a little bit.
A lot.
I feel like I've been looking at retirement savings through these Roth-colored glasses for so long.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing things totally differently.
I know. It's easy to get caught up in the hype.
Yeah.
Especially when you have these big names, like Ed Slott telling you Roth is the way to go.
Yeah, but like we talked about, there's a lot more to it than just that simple answer.
Right.
So if you had to sum it all up, what are the key takeaways here?
Okay, so I think the most important thing is there's no one right answer when it comes to Roth versus traditional.
Yeah, it really depends on your situation.
It does.
It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It depends on your income now, how much you think you'll make in the future.
Yeah.
How you're investing your money, how comfortable you are with risk.
Right.
And even what you think is going to happen with taxes.
Yeah, don't remind me.
I know.
Predicting the future.
It's tough. So it's not as simple as just saying Roth is always the best.
No. And that research we talked about, it was really eye-opening.
It was.
Because for a lot of people, traditional accounts could actually save them more money.
In taxes.
Yeah, over their lifetime. Yeah. Especially if they end up in a lower tax bracket in retirement.
Right, which happens a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we can't forget about that built-in progressivity.
With traditional accounts.
Yeah, it's like the system is actually designed to help people who don't have a ton of money saved.
So even if you don't have millions of dollars, you might not have to pay a lot in taxes.
Or any taxes.
Yeah, and you still get that tax break up front.
Right.
So what should people do with all this information?
I think the biggest thing is to really educate yourself.
Right.
Don't just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Or listen to what everyone else is saying.
Right. Do your own research.
Exactly.
Figure out what makes sense for you.
Yeah. Maybe even talk to a financial advisor.
Okay. And something else I was thinking about.
Yeah.
This isn't like a one-time decision.
Oh.
You know, you don't just pick Roth or traditional and then forget about it.
Right. Things change.
Yeah. Life happens. Your finances change. Who knows what's going to happen with tax laws?
You never know.
So it's important to revisit your retirement plan every once in a while.
Absolutely. Make sure it still works for you.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a question.
Okay.
Something to think about that goes beyond just taxes. What other factors might influence your decision between Roth and traditional?
That's a good question.
Like, what about your risk tolerance?
Yeah.
Or how much money you think you'll need in retirement? Or even your estate planning goals?
Those are all really important things to consider.
It's about finding the right retirement plan that works for your life.
For you.
For you, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to chew on today.
We have.
And hopefully they feel a little bit more prepared.
I hope so.
To tackle this whole retirement savings thing.
Yeah. It's complicated, but with a little planning and some good advice, you can set yourself up for a great retirement.
That's what we all want. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you later.